business will be a call to order. I will be polling the committee members by name. As I call your name, please indicate that you are present. Susan Anderson. And if you're not able to respond audibly, please indicate in the chat. Susan, are you able to hear us?
Shoot. Hi, I'm present.
All right.
Is that there?
Thank you. Alan Galicia.
Present.
Albert Garcia. Scott Nodes.
Present.
Marshall Regal.
Present.
Raquel Schatz.
Present.
Mike Sutton.
Here.
Hugh Bigalk.
Here.
April Wire.
Here.
Tessa Wessel.
Here.
Tony Whitfield.
Present.
Bruce Littleton.
Here.
All right. Is there anybody who I did not call out?
David, this is Trisha Boyer, City of Mesa.
Thank you, Tricia. Anyone else?
Morning, David.
Eduardo Rodales from the City of Maricopa.
Welcome, Eduardo. And I'm sorry, someone else was trying to come in?
Good morning, David. This is Ying from ASU.
Good morning, Ingon.
Stan Weber from Glendale.
One last. Thank you, Stan.
Good morning.
All right. Hearing no others, we have quorum. So this meeting of the MAG ITS Committee is called to order. I'll remind you to please mute your microphone to eliminate any feedback. Throughout the meeting, you'll have your opportunity to raise your hand in the chat to be recognized, at which time you can unmute your microphone to speak. You're also able to use the chat feature to type in questions or comments at any time. And when you begin speaking, please state your name and your organization for minute-taking purposes. With that, we'll move on to item 2 on the agenda, which is a call to the audience. Members of the public are asked to submit written comments related to this meeting through the MAG website. Comments may be sent at any time leading up to the meeting, but must be received at least 1 hour before the posted start time. This is the opportunity for members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG jurisdiction, but are not on the agenda or on the agenda for discussion and not for action. MAG staff, do we have any public comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the ITS Committee. There were no comments received for this item on the agenda or any other items.
Thank you very much. With that, we will move on to item 3, approval of minutes. At this time, please take a few moments to review the minutes from the October 7th meeting, if you have not already. If anybody has any revisions, please use the chat window to submit your correction. All right. I'll be looking for a motion to recommend approval of the meeting minutes of the October 7th, 2020 meeting. Please raise your hand. I see Scott did. So thank you, Scott, for your motion. Do I have a second? Please raise your hand in the chat if you would like to make a second. All right, Tricia, thank you for the second. With that, I will be polling you, everyone on the call. Please indicate yay or nay for the motion. Susan Anderson?
Approve.
Hugh?
Approved.
Tricia?
Yay.
Alan?
Yay. Yay.
Albert? Thank you. Trini?
Yes.
Pong?
Yay.
Bruce?
Yay.
Ying Yang?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Eduardo?
Yay.
Marshall?
Yes.
Raquel?
Abstain.
Mike?
Yay.
April?
Yay.
Tessa? All right, with the motion and a second, with members polled on the phone, the motion passes. Apologies, I'm having some issues where Zoom keeps crashing here. I would also like to take this moment to welcome Eduardo Raudales with the City of Maricopa as a new member to the committee. So thank you for attending your first meeting and welcome to the MAG ITS committee meeting.
Thank you, David.
With that, we'll move on to item 4 of the program manager's report. Jeff Jank will now provide updates and a report to the committee. Jeff?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and committee members. The first item on the program manager's report is the FHWA update. I'd like to invite Ms. Tony Whitfield of FHWA Arizona Division to provide the update. Tony?
Thank you, Jeff. Good morning, everyone. I only have a few updates today. Do we have a slide?
Yes, can everyone see the slides?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm not seeing the slide, but I'll continue
Not seeing
with
the slide,
updates.
Eric. It's still the cover title slide.
There we go.
Oh, no. Okay, good. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. So the first update is a new official interpretation for channelizing devices at, oh, I think somebody is off mute. Could you please mute yourself? Thank you. So there's a new official interpretation for channelizing devices at mid-block pedestrian crossings. And this is in conjunction with in-street pedestrian crossing signs. And this was issued by Federal Highway in August and is available on the MUTCD website. So while the user placement of these signs is outside of the provisions of the MUTCD is subject to experimental approval, The channelizing devices such as tubular markers can be used to supplement the in-street signs in a compliant configuration without the need for an experimental approval. So to learn more about that official interpretation, visit the MUTCD website, and the link there takes you straight to that official interpretation. The next item, the National Traffic Incident Response Awareness Week is scheduled to take place next week, so November 9th through 15th. And this is a week for responder communities to educate peers and the public about safe practices around traffic incident management. This year's theme is slow down, move over, be safe. And then on Thursday, November 12th, FHWA's Office of Operations will lead a special Talking Tim webinar as part of the commemoration of the week. So you can register for that webinar at the link provided on that slide. Next slide, please. The next update is a virtual workshop. So November 16th through 18th, the Transportation Research Board will be holding a virtual workshop on traffic simulation and connected and automated vehicle modeling. Now, there is a cost to attend this workshop. The workshop will bring together researchers, vendors, system users, and participants and presenters will be identifying challenges and discussing solution approaches. Recent findings will be presented, and they will identify future research needs related to traffic simulation modeling. So for more information and to register, you can visit the website provided. And then the final update is Federal Highway will be soliciting nominations for the alternative fuel corridor designations. So under the FAST Act, there's a requirement for the Secretary of Transportation to designate national electric vehicle charging, hydrogen, propane, and natural gas fueling corridors. And Federal Highway is working with federal, state, and local officials, as well as industry, to help plan and promote an interstate network of stations. And the intent is to fuel the vehicles powered by clean and domestically produced alternative fuels. So the solicitation is open through February 24th, 2021. And this is round 5 of the designations. So for more information, also follow the website provided. And that concludes my updates. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Next on my report is the Regional Community Network update by MEG RCN Program Manager Ryan Gish. Ryan?
Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Chairman and members of the ITS Committee. Just want to give a quick update again about the RCN and some of the things going on, and some that may not be exactly related to RCN, but in the same area. A couple of things, just some of the fiber outages and repairs we're seeing going on this past month, if not even like 2 months. One of the major ones was El Mirage. We still haven't kind of gotten them back on, and been working with McDOT and El Mirage to, I guess, help facilitate or help work with them to get the fiber link back up. They had a copper theft, or what you might call a potential copper theft, that had pulled one of the ground wires out, and of course then it caused the fiber to kind of get pinched right inside the conduit itself. So kind of a messy fix, but McDOT has their contractor that's working on getting that fixed, and hopefully we can get them back online. As far as some of the other branches out, we're also working with ADOT, Scottsdale, and Peoria to possibly get a fiber link around the 101 that'll kind of help patch the east and west valley agencies, kind of as a more of a redundant connection. So hoping to get some of that working a little bit more forward in the next few months here. I think that would be a valuable link because most of our connections between the east and west valley are folded along the I-10 on ADOT's right away. So it kind of makes it a little bit tough if any of those areas go down or anything like that, because then we have a major break between the two valleys. Aside from that, the management software, the Luxrate Evo, there's a significant update that happened probably about a month ago they released. So it's the 1.17 version. Not saying everybody needs to jump on that, but it does have didn't change much visually, I would say, but they added a few extra features, like even one where on the monitor side, where normally you would have to hold down the shift key to zoom in and out with the scroll on your mouse. Now you can just kind of easily move in and out with the scroll mouse without having to push down that annoying shift key. So the monitor and the client side are still forward and backwards compatible. It's just on the management side, if you are trying to, I guess, manage the system itself, you have to make sure you have that updated client to match the server side, which most of the time those kind of go hand in. But if anybody needs help or would like to look at jumping to that newest version, please let me know, either email or contact me separately. We can kind of work on getting that updated. And from that, we also had the task force for the regional fiber maintenance project. We had that meeting a few weeks back, or at least I had our second meeting a few weeks back, and I feel like it was pretty productive. We're able to narrow the scope of what the task force should be able to do and what they'd like to do. Right now, we're still just kind of anticipating maybe just another meeting in December, and we can kind of iron out some of those last little details. So not a whole lot to like definitive to report back on that, but at least we're moving forward and should have something more in detail by, of course, now we run into the holidays, but that's probably why we're pushing our meeting, the next one, out until December. And if not, we'll at least give you guys a report back by January. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ryan. Just want to, for the benefit of the new committee member, the RCN is the regional fiber optic backbone that's dedicated for public safety and the transportation use, and Ryan is is providing the oversight of this fiber backbone. And the Luxrate software that was mentioned is the we have a regional license, and it's a video management software that allow the agencies to exchange the CCTV image over the RCN network. So if Maricopa or any other agency that's interested in this video exchange capability, please contact Ryan.
Yes, thank you, Jeff. You bring up a good point. If there are anybody that, even if you just wanted a briefing for your staff, or if you wanted anything outside of that, maybe some of your other departments that wanted a brief or a short presentation on what the RCN or the Regional Community Network can do or what we can provide, I'd be more than happy to help facilitate that or get out there or do some type of virtual presentation to kind of let you know more about the RCN.
Great. The next item, next slide, please. Next, I would like to provide an update on the detection methodology study. The deadline for comments on the final report has been extended till this Friday, that is November 6th. And I think that all those on the technical advisory group probably getting phone call from the MAC project manager, Mohammed Shahid, asking for comments, and also your attendance of a meeting on November 9th to go over the comments with the tech. Still in the plan is the project consultant UCG will provide a presentation at the December ITS committee meeting. Next slide, please. As a volunteer of the conference organizing committee, I'd like to provide a recap and the observation of the October 14th ITS Arizona virtual annual conference. Due to COVID-19, this year's conference planning was delayed, and the decision to go with virtual meeting format came with a very steep learning curve, but the outcome turned out to be quite a pleasant surprise, according to the feedback that we've received from the participants. It wasn't perfect by any measure, and 1.5-day conference was reduced to 1 day, and a total of 19 technical presentations was way less than the in-person conference that we used to have. But due to the virtual nature, we were able to recruit speakers from all over the country. We have a good mix of local and the national / out-of-state presentations. And one of the highlights is the keynote by Shalene Bott, the president of the ITS America. And there were definitely some challenges with the virtual format, such as how to replicate the foot traffic and interactions for vendor exhibit or the social hours. And of course, no food was served. There was some award given in the annual meeting. First, our ITS committee member, Mike Sutton, was the ITS Arizona Member of the Year. Well deserved, Mike. And Town of Gilbert's fiber optic implementation plan won the best ITS planning project. ADOT's I-10 dust warning system was the best ITS implementation project. Congratulations. Best student paper award went to University of Arizona. With that, I would like to turn to Mr. David Lucas, who is the newly elected Vice President of the ITS Arizona, for any additional comments or observation that he would like to offer.
Thank you, Jeff. I think you gave a great overview. As you mentioned, it was a very successful conference. It was the first time we had had to do it virtually. We are hoping that next year's conference will be physical, in-person event as usual. It will most likely be held in late September, following our usual schedule. The board is actively preparing for next year's meeting. I will be the conference chair, so I hope everyone will be able to attend next year, and we're hoping for record attendance. We're always on the lookout for volunteers. If you're interested in getting involved either as a board member, as a committee member, or just helping out here and there, we're always welcome. We appreciate the new input, new ideas. So definitely reach out to any of the board members that you see on the screen there, and we would be happy to get you involved. Thank you, Jeff. That's all I have.
Well, that concludes my program manager's report. Thank you.
All right. At this point, we'd like to open it up for any comments on any of the items that Jeff went over in his report. I would like to begin following up on Ryan's RCN report and thank Ryan and Mag for their support on a recent effort that we were trying to resolve. We've been having issues in the city of Tempe with our Replicam video management system, and we were looking at several different possible solutions. But Ryan and his team were able to provide some hardware where we were able to do a demo of a proof of concept using Luxuriate. And it looks like it's going to work very well, and in some ways better than our existing system, overcoming some of the limitations that we have. And most importantly, it's going to allow us to continue operations with our TMC video wall. And it looks like it's also going to do so at a significant cost savings over the alternative options. So obviously, the video management system is a major component. And I wanted to thank Ryan, Audrey, Vladimir, and Mag for their support and technical assistance. With the budgetary and staffing issues that we're all facing right now with budget cuts and lower tax receipts that are coming in, we definitely appreciate the support that MAG is able to offer the local agencies, not just with the Luxuriate licensing that Jeff mentioned earlier, which is a great support, but the technical assistance and hardware support that MAG and his team that Ryan and his team were recently able to offer. So I just want to let everyone know that we appreciate that and thank Ryan for his support. Are
Thanks,
there
David.
any other? Ryan, did you have something?
I'll just tag on to that. Sorry, David, I'll just tag on to that. But yeah, thank you for that, all the kind words. It was definitely one of those opportunities where we'd like to kind of like help out where we can and either bring some old retired equipment that we have and put it to some reuse. And for something like this, I mean, I know typical video walls can cost, anywhere from $250,000 to $500,000 for, hardware plus install and everything else. And video walls are pretty beefy to push. But yeah, in this times that we have, it's kind of nice to be able to pull something out and create a little solution. And I mean, this isn't the first time something like this has been done per se. I mean, not on MAG side, but just on the local agency side. So I know a lot of you guys out there, your video walls are actually running from, let's just call it a beefy workstation or a beefy server, and a couple of video cards slapped in there. You can kind of just run a Windows computer or some type of video wall. So I think this was another nice opportunity to show that we're all working together, and it was fairly successful. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Ryan. Are there any other comments on the any of the items covered in the program manager's report? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to item 5 on the agenda, which is the Town of Queen Creek 2021 Competitive SM&O Project Scope Change Request. The Town of Queen Creek ITS project is currently programmed to install new traffic detection systems at existing signalized intersections, capable of capturing the data necessary for ATSPM. This project is part of a system-wide deployment across Queen Creek. Among the proposed locations, 4 intersections included upgrades that have already been upgraded by a locally funded project. So the proposed change is to amend the project scope to include the implementation for the ATSPM module for the town's central traffic management system. At this time, I'd like to invite Marshall Regal with the Town of Queen Creek to present an overview of the scope changes. Marshall?
Thank you, Chair and members of the committee. If we could put the slide up. So like David said, this is a request for support for a TIP project scope modification. Next slide. So the original scope included modifying 4 intersections on Ironwood Road. Very old controllers, and we did not have the ability out there to do time-of-day protected left turns, which is a key component of why those intersections were needed to be upgraded. So that included upgrading the traffic signal cabinets. So next slide. So this gives you an overview of what the scope of the project was, and really the main thrust of the project is to be able to do signal performance measures. About 50% of our town currently has the vision cameras, and this project is going to complete all the other intersections with the vision cameras, the Econolite vision cameras. You can see on the right-hand side the 4 intersections on Ironwood. The traffic demand out there really changed since the application of this project went in, and it really increased the need to modify those signals. So we had to go in with local funds and do that project in a much more accelerated schedule. So next slide. So this explained a lot of what I was explaining earlier. The immediate need was to provide those time-of-day protected left turns along Ironwood Drive. We used the local funds to do the improvements. So therefore, the TIP project funds for those particular items are no longer needed. And the the TIP estimate for those intersection work was $240,000. Next slide. So the change is to use that money for the signalized intersections to get the ATSPM module for the existing Econolite Centrac central system. And this will give us the ability to provide ATS signal performance functions for, when the project's completed for all the intersections in town. So when you pair that with the new vision cameras that we're going to be installing along with the existing ones, we'll get the high-level data acquisition and analytics for, for turning movement counts, for Purdue coordination diagrams, arrivals on green, volume capacity ratios, phase and split failures, vehicle delay, and not for enforcement, but we'll be able to monitor where we might have hot spots for red light running. So we can look at, maybe implementing some safety procedures out there. So the key is that there's no change to the federal portion of the TIP, so that there's no request for any additional funding. It's really a reallocation and a repurposing of existing funds that are no longer needed due to the local funds having been spent on those 4 intersections. So next slide. So the real key is, what's going to be the benefit of this. And so when we have this fully integrated system with the Centrax, with the ATSPM module and the features it has, it gives us the ability to create segments or even grid areas to obtain signal performance measures continuously. And this isn't news to anybody. This is what these systems do. It gives us the ability then to do rapid before and after studies if we do any timing changes. It gives us the ability to identify the underperforming segments and intersections. And of course, a real key thing is we now will have the ability to generate performance reports for targeted audiences. Obviously, signal techs and operating traffic engineers need different information than city managers or the city council groups that you have to present this information to. So that's a key component of this. One of the main things that this fully integrated system gives us, though, is it analyzes the data for the segments that you link together. So it's a similar thing to how you would set up a synchro model. You set up your intersections, you put in all the geometry, just like you do with synchro. It uses the algorithm, the pivot link algorithm by Darcy Bullock of Purdue to do the analysis. And if you go to the next slide, this is a example of the interface. And the key thing is if you go to the very next slide, this software package gives us the ability then, after the analysis is done by the algorithm, it comes up with recommended timing changes, and it allows us through this controller command to upload those signal timing plans. So that's a very unique function. It's really what really gained my attention to this software package. Next slide. So the request is to approve the tip change. So that's what I'm offering. That's what I'm requesting. So if there's any questions, I'll throw it back to David.
Yep. Jeff, I believe you were going to provide some additional information about the proposed project changes.
Yes. Mr. Chair and committee member, when Queen Creek reached out to MAG for the tip change, we run this request by MAG tip group, Mr. Steve Tate and Mr. Patrick Stone, who is the successor of Ms. Terry Kennedy. Based on the internal review, this request was deemed in compliance with the federal CMAQ funding regulations. We also look at it technically that the proposed ATSPM module support the original project objective, that is to enable these intersections in and around Queen Creek area to collect and report performance measures. And one thing, like Marshall said, that one thing that really stand out is the ATSPM module being proposed is built into the city's Centrax centralized traffic management system. In addition to providing the performance matrices of our intersections, it also suggests the new signal timing plan. And with a mouse click, this new timing plan can be implemented. And this is clearly an edge over the standalone ATSPM system, which in most cases a web-based interface independent from the agency's traffic signal management system. And so the analogy being, you have a software that you could trade stock, but then you subscribe to this performance dashboard for the tips. The thing that you see on the dashboard, you have to take that information and come back to another software to actually do the trade of the stock. So we feel that there's technical merit of this particular ATSPM implementation proposed by Queen Creek. And thanks for the opportunity to offer Mac's preliminary assessment of this request.
Thank you, Jeff. And thank you, Marshall, for that presentation. I definitely look forward to seeing how well that system works for you. Are there any comments from the committee members? Any questions that you would like to ask about this proposed change?
David, this is Trisha. I have a question. What was the price? So the entire reallocation of funding was just for the additional module, not for the installation of the software?
No, Tricia, it's going to go into the bid package for installation, provisioning, and providing data support.
Okay. Is that for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, we expect to get 5 years support for that.
Okay.
Or as someone put it to me, it comes with a data plan.
Okay. Thank you.
And Marshall, to follow up on that comment, I'm assuming that this will provide support not just for the initial set of intersections, but for the entire city. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. Excellent.
Yeah.
Any
So they'll help
questions?
us. They'll train us and help us set up corridors and different study sites. I mean, we like to know how to do it ourselves, but as we all know, we can be short-staffed, so they're willing to jump in and give us that assistance as well.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure this wasn't like a per intersection license or anything, and that it was in fact citywide or townwide.
Yeah, that's how we're going to bid the project. Yep.
Okay. One last call for any questions or comments.
David,
All
this
right,
is Bruce.
none?
David,
Yes,
this is Bruce. Move to approve.
Thank you, Bruce. That was my next question. I see Scott has raised his hand indicating that he seconds the motion. With that, I will be doing a roll call for a vote. Please indicate yay or nay. Going down the line, Susan?
Yay.
Hugh?
Yay.
Tricia?
Yay.
And it looks like we have Hannah on the line as well, representing Valley Metro. Your vote, please.
Yay.
Thank you. Alan?
Yay.
Albert?
Yay.
Trini?
Yes.
Hong?
Yay.
Bruce?
Yay.
Ying Yan?
Yay.
Scott?
Yay.
Eduardo?
Yay.
I think I know this vote, but Marshall?
Yes.
Raquel?
Yay.
Ward?
Yay.
Mike?
Yay.
April,
Yay.
and Tessa.
Yay.
All right. With a motion and a second, and everyone polled on the phone, the motion passes. And with that, the change will be sent up the chain for the tip change. Thank you, everyone.
Yes,
With that,
Marshall,
we'll move
thank
on. Thank you, Marshall. And again, we look forward to learning more about the system and how it works for you. So thank you. Item 6 on the agenda is the Traffic Signal Optimization Program project applications. On October 16th, the call for projects was announced to identify new TSOP projects for FY 2021. A total of 8 project applications were received. The performance evaluation of the projects will also be included in the project list to be funded. Copies of all 8 project applications have been sent via email to the committee for your review. The responsible agencies will be providing a presentation on the proposed project, and the committee will review the merits of each project with respect to the goals of the TSOP program. The committee will be asked to rank the list of projects after today's meeting, and the results will be tallied by MAG staff and shared with the committee at the December 2nd ITS committee meeting. At this moment, I would like to invite Eric Nava with MAG to provide an overview and to facilitate the application review process. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, members of the ITS committee. So as Chair Lucas provided the update to the FY 2021 TSOP programming, this call for projects began on October 16th, 2020, and the applications were due October 26th, and the total number of applications that were received was 8. The fiscal year budget for the program was originally $500,000, and a portion of that has already been programmed with an ongoing project for the performance evaluation methodology that's currently ongoing with Kittleson to develop a methodology for the performance of TSOP corridors for fiscal year 20 projects as well as fiscal year 21 and on projects. So the current available funding is $420,933. So of the 8 applications that we received, this is the general map of all those locations of each of those projects, spread between the West and portions of the East Valley and Far East Valley. On the West side, we have 3 projects, a shared project between MCDOT and Glendale along 99th Avenue, a project for the city of Goodyear along Litchfield Road, and a project for Avondale on Avondale Boulevard. And on the east side is a project for the city of Scottsdale for different portions of their downtown area, city of Tempe along Southern Avenue, town of Queen Creek for their downtown area, and 2 projects for the town of Gilbert, mostly on either Baseline, Val Vista, and Gilbert Road, and Guadalupe Road. So for today, the intent of today's effort is to look through all the projects. We have given the agencies the ability or the opportunity to present their applications in detail, providing any additional information that maybe the application did not provide, and the 2 things that we are trying to score on the projects in terms of a technical evaluation are based solely on 2 points of criteria with a score of 1 to 5. The project merit, looking at whether the traffic operations needs and if those goals and project goals are clearly identified and justified for the intent of having a TSOP project, as well as the scope and budget. And the reason for the tying of the scope and budget is with the application, there's an assumed $1,000 per intersection per time of day plan. So the number, the budget at least in the default estimated costs, are based on the number of timing plans as well as the number of intersections. So with that, the project scope and budget is tied to whether the scope covers the merit of the project as best as possible. Now, the spreadsheet, a score sheet, was provided to all committee members to provide a score of each of the applications based on their evaluation of these two scoring criteria, and a rank of the projects is automatically calculated based on their input of those scores of 1 to 5. So the rank is automatically calculated and no need for those further adjustments. The adjustments would be done based on the input of the scoring. As mentioned previously, today's goal is to review the projects on the merit and the scope to move forward as a TSOP project. We intend to provide this, again, the review of these applications. In the previous round, we were not able to, and I think that this provides, is good for the program to be able to see what the merits are of the projects, and brings up questions or solutions for particular types of projects to make sure that we are doing the best that we can for the program as a whole and moving forward. Each application for today will receive up to 5 minutes to present, and that will be followed by a Q&A after each application. I will be keeping a timer for the 5 minutes, and will provide a friendly warning of a 1 minute, both myself and Omar, if I do not set my clock properly for whatever reason. And again, we would like to try and stay as true as we can to that 5 minutes, out of respect for all applicants and for the time of our meeting today. So again, the estimated cost for all the projects at this moment is, if we accumulated all the project costs, is $429,750. Now that is based on both the estimated cost that was calculated by the application. If the agencies had the opportunity to provide an alternate cost, if the calculated cost in the application was not, they felt was maybe not appropriate for this particular project, and again, providing technical input at this presentation in their application would provide their justification as to why the cost may be, why they would think it could be different. The total budget, again, being $420,933. So that remaining budget, or really it's that should be a negative, I'm sorry. It's negative $8,000, $8,817. So we're short by $8,000, almost $9,000. And the overall budget of these project costs does include a $40,000 project for the performance evaluations of the FY 2021 projects. Now, again, the other project that I previously mentioned is developing the methodology for those evaluations using INREX data and the TransSync tool. This project of $40,000 would be the evaluation using that methodology, as we are also using for FY 20 projects. Now, again, if there's because we do see that there is this budget, and it's not remaining. We're short by $8,817. Based on the input by committee members to the applicants of these projects, cost and scope of projects may be adjusted based on feedback from the committee. If there's something that is recommended and is felt that it could benefit the project, and that may potentially adjust the costs of other projects, we are allowing the projects to be revised. The deadline for the revisions will be end of day Monday, this upcoming Monday, November 9th. If a agency who has put in an application chooses to make any adjustments to their application. Now, the evaluation scores, again, the spreadsheets scoring based on those two criteria is will be due by noon on Wednesday, November 18th, which is 2 weeks from today. Agencies or committee members who are scoring may provide their scores anytime between now and Wednesday, November 18th. I do encourage, as we do go through these presentations, that if you have the ability to have your project score sheet open, to do so that you can keep notes or be able to provide any scoring that you see during the presentation of these applications.
Eric, I had a question, if I might.
Yes, sir.
The revisions are due the 9th. At what point do you expect, if there are any revisions received, that you would be sending those back out to the committee for review? So
they will
they
be
can take that into account.
Correct. Thank you for bringing that, Mr. Chair. And so the answer would be is we would provide the revisions to the applicant or to the committee members by November 10th, the following day, that Tuesday. Again, it being 8 applications, the turnaround to that, we should be able to revise the large PDF of all the applications and resubmit that to all member agencies, committee members to review that.
Eric, I had one other question before we started too. If there was an opportunity for member agencies, at least those that had submitted, to throw in a couple $1,000s or whatever to cover that $8,000, would that be feasible?
That's a good question. Not entirely sure. I have not thought that completely through. I'm not sure how that would work in terms of that, but I would be happy to entertain that conversation after the committee meeting. So for all the projects, these are the 8 projects that will be presented today. So the order of the projects is based on this list in alphabetical order. So we will begin with the City of Avondale's project. Again, this is 8 projects, and I will be providing a short 1-slide summary of what the application was. Again, just the number of intersections, the cost, and if there's communication to the signals, when was the last update to the application or to the recorder signals. So very basic summary, and after I will provide that summary, committee members are allowed to ask any questions to that application. So again, we'll go ahead and start with the City of Avondale, and I will begin my timer as soon as I go to the next slide. So first one will be City of Avondale, presented by Ward Stanford.
Eric, just for clarity, you're going to run the slides, or do you want me to share my screen?
I will be running the slides. Thank you for that clarification. You can just say next slide, please.
Good morning, committee members. As we are putting in a request for funding a signal retiming project on Avondale Boulevard. As you know from probably previous conversations, the whole city does not have a coordinated street. We are working on one now based on an earlier TSOP project. So this is the next one in line. You want to go ahead and shift your thing. Thank you. The length of Avondale Boulevard is a little over a mile. It has 11 intersections. It begins at McDowell Road and runs to West Wyman Road, which is about 2/3 of a mile south of Buckeye Road. It includes the I-10 ramp intersections, which we do operate, and also to try as much as possible to incorporate the MC-85 intersection. We recognize that the MC-85 intersection is a primary east-west coordination, and we do not plan to affect that. So our project is more looking to work with it as much as possible. The plans being requested are AM, midday, PM, and weekend. Estimated cost is $44,000, and the city is not at this point providing any additional funds or any kind of custom funding. Next slide, please. Again, as you have heard us in the past, currently our streets are not coordinated. When we lost our previous traffic system, everything was put back into free. The older timings are from 2012, And so now we are doing the work to rebuild our synchro files, but also to get coordination on our streets again. Certainly, as with everything being uncoordinated, we have increased congestion, pollution, and frustrated drivers. There is a lot of stop and go driving out there. Certainly, when the NASCAR event comes in, which is this coming week, the traffic increases substantially. We can increase anywhere from roughly 8,000 to 12,000 vehicles a day on the street. Again, that raises our pollution levels and our frustrations out there. I generally spend a fair amount of time on our video cameras, actually adjusting the signal timings as need. Finding one in uncoordinated signals is just not something that's worked very well. So I spend a good bit of time doing that. As you can see, the current volume is roughly 28,000 vehicles a day. And again, the NASCAR increases that roughly 8 to 12,000 vehicles a day when they're here. Avondale Road or Avondale Boulevard is becoming one of our main corridors. We're doing a good bit of development in there. There's a lot of beautification efforts being done by city management. So definitely they would like to get some coordination on these signals also. And the last part is, again, just rediscussing the part that McDOT will work with us as much as possible on trying to incorporate MC85 into our north-south coordination plan. But again, we recognize that MC85 is coordinated east and west, and we do not plan to impact that. With that, that's pretty much my presentation.
Thank you, Ward. So again, as a quick summary to this application, the number of intersections for this was 11 intersections, asking for 4 time of day plans, AM, midday, PM, and weekend. Last retiming of these signals was in 2012, and there's communication to all intersections except for 2, at least based on the application. And the estimated cost is for $44,000. Are there any questions?
Those 2 intersections, we will have GPS units to allow them to maintain operation with the coordination until we get our radios down there, which the radios may be in place by the time the project happens, if we get awarded. Sorry, Eric.
Oh, thank you for that clarification. That helps. Are there any other questions? Okay, well, thank you very much, Ward. The next application will be for 2 projects for the town of Gilbert. And I'd like to ask Mike Sutton to speak to these 2 projects, please.
Okay, I'll try to make this a little bit brief. Back in 2019, we had submitted for some TSOP projects, and we had gathered some data from the INRIX data and also from our ARID data. And one of the intersections that was identified as a top priority was Val Vista, but at the time we knew we had some construction planned, and we wanted to make sure that got done. It is close to completion. And in addition to that, we had done South Val Vista with a project in 2019, which ended around Elliott. And so basically we're proposing that we go from baseline, down to Elliott to kind of match up with that project that we had already done previously. And with all the additional improvements, we added some additional, left turn phasing, whatever else. And so we're hoping to make the most of that we can. And in addition to that, there are a few intersections along baseline as well. And with that project, we should finish most of baseline. I have a project going on right now, which I guess you could consider as matching funds. Last submittal, I was hoping to get Higley approved, and Greenfield was approved, which I'm grateful for. That was great. So I went ahead and was able to fund, Higley in-house. And so we're basically taking care of Higley, just south of the 60 where Mesa maintains, right at the hospital, all the way down to about Elliott as well. I think it's Hearn, if I remember right. With that project, oh no, it's farther. Anyways, but with that Higley project. But as also part of that Higley project, there's a little piece of baseline that we're also retiming. And so this will match up with the retiming that's being done on baseline. And Rick Engineering happens to be working on that currently. In fact, I just got an email right now from him. But anyways, so that's about it for Val Vista Drive. Do you want me to just go ahead and talk about Gilbert now, or?
No, let's take it one at a time.
All right.
So as a quick summary for town of Gilbert, 11 intersections, 2 time of day plans, AM and PM. Last retimed was on 2012. There's communication to all those intersections at a cost of $22,000 for these 11 intersections.
And a little interesting fact is we did, like with that Val Vista project, we had a few intersections that were still on radios. Now everything there is on fiber again, so.
Are there any questions for Mike Sutton? Okay, we'll go ahead and go on to the next project.
One other note, if I had a #1 project, it would be Val Vista, just so you guys know. But Gilbert Road, originally I was hoping to do a little bit more with Gilbert, but then in meeting with town staff and some of our development services staff and some of the projects that are going on downtown right now in our Heritage District, and not really getting a full grasp of the intention of our development group and where that's going to go. This project now just goes basically from baseline and then ends down at Guadalupe. And with that, in order to make it, and that was only a few intersections, and in discussing with our new traffic engineer, he was of the opinion it would probably be a good idea to go and include, a piece of Guadalupe as well. And so we put those intersections in there to have some level of coordination. While our priority is north-south, along this corridor, we do have a significant number of east-west traffic. And we're just hoping to improve it. Oh, and the last time either one of these locations were updated was in 2012 as well, with a town-wide study that was done. If there was, again, I know I brought this up already, Eric, but I'm hoping if there was a way to get everyone's projects funded, I would hate to leave anyone's project off for $8,000. I would be willing, to go and ask for some matching funds or whatever else to try and do this. Or that one intersection there, again, they were trying to collect some data on it, but that one intersection there at Cooper, if I had to take it off, I could save $2,000 right there as well. I wouldn't be opposed to that if I had to, because I'd rather include that with a future project just the same as this one. But anyways, if anyone has any questions, we'll go to that next slide so Eric can give a summary of that project real quick.
Thank you, Mike. No, I appreciate you providing that offer. And that's something that I think we can continue to talk about strictly for just this purpose, for today's purposes, is really to just look at the projects to get that evaluation. I would hate to, cause interruption to seeing the merit of all the projects just solely based on the cost. But, I think that's something that I think we can take to our management to see how that works out with the task order, or, just reduce the number of intersections, but really you're retiming additional portions. But we'll figure that out. Thank you.
And I guess just one other brief point is we just finished an a TSMO study here. I'm getting mixed up between a couple of projects, but the TSMO study, and with that we'll be making some changes here. But in the meantime, it really is, really just me having to deal with most of this. I have been able to include our assistant traffic engineer a little bit with some of it later on, and that's been very helpful. And so this just helps me to kind of move a few things along in Gilbert. In the years to come, I'm hoping, with some of the staffing changes, whatever else, we won't be asking for as much, and we'll be able to do a lot more in-house than we're doing right now. So anyways, that's all.
Thank you, Mike. So again, quick summary of Gilbert Road project: 10 intersections, 2 time of day plans for AM and PM. Last retimed was in 2012. There was communication to all these intersections and an estimated cost of $20,000. Any questions for Mr. Sutton? All right, thank you very much. Next project would be Hubie for City of Goodyear on Litchfield Road.
All right. Thank you, Eric. And let me get video fired up here. Okay. I'm Hugh Biak, City Traffic Engineer, City of Goodyear, Arizona. What I'm presenting today is our TSOP submittal for Litchfield Road, which runs from MC85 to Wigwam Boulevard. As I previously stated, clearly it's in the City of Goodyear. What we're requesting, or is the project type, is for signal retiming and data collection. It passes through, or will go through 16 signalized intersections. And what we'll be requesting is AM, midday, PM, and weekend plans. And the MAG estimated cost for this is $64,000. And on the agency side, there'll be no cost to the city. Next slide, please. Give a little bit more in-depth description. As I said, it's Litchfield Road, MC85 to Wigwam, which is an approximate length of 4.8 miles. Our recent history with this corridor is we've experienced significant traffic growth south of I-10, and that's been within even the last 3 to 4 months. We're experiencing a significant amount of construction, mostly industrial, south of I-10, and also an increase in traffic, it seems, from the south wanting to go westbound on I-10 that has somewhat saturated our northbound left movement at I-10. And we've had to alter our traffic signal phasing here, I think it was about a couple months ago, to help accommodate this additional volume. And so that's been a concern of ours. ADT it's highest in the vicinity of I-10, which is was counted. Our ADT counts, or our traffic counts, were last done in the fall of 2019, and at that time, the highest volume near I-10 was approximately 32,800 vehicles per day. Also to fill in all our traffic signals along this corridor are connected via fiber. And we have a mix of both Econolite and Siemens traffic signal controllers. We're slowly updating our traffic signal controllers that are deployed out there, slowly updating them to Econolite. But we still have, again, probably at least half the corridor still has Siemens mix of both M50s and M60s. And also, item of note, the city has an existing synchro network for this area. And to give a quick background on it too, we initially coordinated this corridor back in, I believe it was 2008. And coordination's been running on this corridor since then, but just with the changes in volumes, it's been a little difficult. And also the length of the corridor also plays into it. Also gets a little more complicated due to the inconsistent spacing of traffic signals, makes it a little bit more of a challenge. And to dive into our expectations of the project is one, to improve our coordination south of I-10. As I mentioned earlier, volume south of I-10 seem to have increased dramatically. And also just some assistance in potentially determining the best cycle length and where to break segments of this corridor for coordination. Next slide, please. And the blue line in the center of the page running left to right is the approximate length of the corridor. Obviously to the right is north. And there you see Litchfield Road on the left starting at MC85, the first yellow diamond. And then proceeding, you'll see all 16 icons moving up there along that blue line, ending on the right side of the page, which is Wigwam Boulevard. And of course, the red line running up and down, which is running east to west, is Interstate 10. And with that, that concludes my presentation.
To the 1 minute warning.
Thank you.
Okay, so as a summary to the project, the number of intersections that we're looking at is 16 intersections for this project, with 4 time of day plans for AM, midday, PM, and weekend. Last timed was in 2020, according to the application, with communication to all intersections. as well as an estimated cost of $64,000 for the 16 intersections. Are there any questions for Hugh? Okay, well, thank you very much. The next project will be for April Wire from MCDOT. Is also accompanied by Stin Weber for any questions from the City of Glendale on this project.
Hello. So today we are proposing a project on 99th Avenue in partnership with the City of Glendale and MCDOT, like Eric said. We're asking to deploy Dynamic Max on 99th Avenue, pretty much from Union Hills all the way down to the lower barrier, all the way down to like Camelback-ish area. So next slide, please. So I think Steve McKenzie with City of Peoria teed us off pretty well a few meetings ago, talking about Dynamic Max implementation. And what we're looking at is, again, a partnership project with MCDOT and Glendale at 15 intersections, 10 being MCDOT and 5 being City of Glendale. We're asking for 3 time-of-day plans for AM, midday, and PM, and a little bit of a higher cost associated. Honestly, we estimated it to be 15% higher than a traditional time of day coordination project development, just because we've never really done a project like this before. We've implemented Dynamic Max at a few locations, piloting them in Maricopa County. I know Glendale has done quite a few around their Westgate area, so this would extend their network of Dynamic Max locations. So we estimated a little bit higher because we're anticipating the fine-tuning process being a bit higher. Next slide, please. And so here are the project locations. The ones with the stars are the ones that are actually being proposed at. You can see there's a few gaps at locations along 99th Avenue that don't have, we're not proposing Dynamic Max being implemented, just because those corridors are actually running coordination east-west. So we don't want to vary that. That's intentional for those few areas of gaps, but we did want to propose this project together because ultimately the work is going to be similar and the goal is going to be similar on the corridor. So next slide. So the ultimate goal is to help the changing demands on the side street and the left turns versus coordinating the signals, you know, in one direction. For City of Glendale's project area, the focus was really about moving traffic around their Westgate entertainment area, where there's really unpredictable conditions with Cardinal Stadium being so close, and then just so much change with volumes on the weekends, with people coming from Westgate in particular. There's shopping around there, so it draws a whole lot of people in that area on the weekends, and you know, not really peak period times. Similar conditions for MCDOT's area, being in Sun City. Sun City traffic is very irregular with the peaks and whatnot, just because it's a retirement community in that area. We are looking to, we have fiber at most locations. There's one location that has a wireless communication network in Glendale, so that's not an issue or anything. Most of the controllers out there are the Conalite ASC 3s, and we do have Synchro 10 available for the intersections that are being proposed. Next slide. So project expectations, I know this is different than your traditional coordination projects, but we are looking at collecting some of the same things. We do want to collect the turning movement counts just so we understand what the traffic volumes are like there right now. We know it's a bit lower than it typically is, so I think that turning movement count collection is still important. It will include refining our synchro models that we have already. Typically what we've done is taken those splits that are generated in Synchro and use them as kind of a starting point for our Dynamics Max limit, and then helping us define what the step increase is over
1 minute.
that until it reaches that dynamic limit. And then, yeah, just more extensive timing with the fine tuning process, with the ultimate goal being to, optimize signal timing. So it still categorizes itself as a TSOP project. Next slide. All right, and that's the last slide. And just, I know that we are in a deficit of $8,000, and I think maybe, Eric, I can have a side conversation with you as far as adjusting our limits of this project. If we maybe remove one location or work together on defining who the consultant should be or could be. I know that on the TSOP on-call list, we have similar consultants on the McDOT side. So maybe that's an avenue that we can kind of play into, maybe not removing intersections, but having our same on-call consultant as you guys being chosen. Then we can work together, and maybe McDOT can fund 1 or 2 locations or time of day plans or something like that. So maybe that's a side conversation we should have.
Okay, no, great. No, I appreciate the input on that. I have a hand raised from Jeff.
Yes, I would like to raise a question on the cost assumption for the dynamic MAC screen. The reason is that I've heard April citing that we have not done this before and might subject to more observation in order to determine those parameters, that being the source of the cost inflation over our normal coordinations. But I would like to offer, I think this is a subject of the program's interest, that, in the future, very likely dynamic MEC will come up as another, prominent source of the TSOP project. So in my words, I'm thinking into it, that the traditional coordination project is really focusing a lot on the time-space diagram along the main coordinated direction, right? And tons of effort into tweaking these offsets to maintain the progression and whatnot, and as well as balancing, the city-specific cross-street requirements where there's pad and all that. It's a delicate balance when you come up with a plan. Dynamics Max, in theory, it is really letting the intersection run free. And as we know, free meaning there's no coordination between the adjacent intersections. Okay, so there's no dealing with the time-space diagram and offset and whatnot, right? All it does, when I say all it does, is it allows the intersection to be uncoordinated and yet have some flexibility based on the detector readout. So you can set a threshold if it surge a certain amount, and you could set some logics, say 2 cycle, there's an increase exceeding certain amount of the volume at certain lane or approaches, that you would allow that particular phase to increase by certain amount, right? So this is about everything is configurable. You could allow it to quickly jump to the next increment and whatnot, but there is a maximum value of it. So the nice thing about it is, when you have an unexpected surge of patterns, that's this intersection could accommodate it while running free. So this running free part, to me, it just relieves the consultant from doing these traditional, setting offset progression type of work. And I wonder that it still warrant the cost increase over our conventional approach. That's a question I raised, but I don't know. I don't have the answer. I just want to offer some of my.
No, I agree with you, Jeff. You summarized it very well. And yeah, there's an unknown as far as the cost estimate to this. It could come back lower, honestly, than what we're even estimating. as the baseline cost of, you know, $1,000 per intersection per time of day plan. So it might even come back lower. I'm honestly not sure. I just kind of, I used that 15% increase just in anticipation of, well, this is new to the consultants. Maybe they'll charge more because it is something new.
But it could be a simpler text. I mean, in terms of.
It could be, yes,
right.
Yes.
So April, this is Marshall. In light of what Jeff said, and the fact that Peoria does have experience with that, and what Mike Sutton offered earlier, I would hope you would give consideration to where the budget stands and everything that Jeff just said when you take a look at your costs.
Okay. Are there any other questions, excuse me, for April and Stan? Okay, well, thank you very much, April. As a quick summary again, sorry for this. The quick summary for this, for 99th Avenue, is number of intersections will be 15 intersections with 3 time of day plans for AM, midday, and PM. Last retiming of these intersections is in 2015 or older, with communications to all intersections, and the estimated cost is $60,750. Next project will be Marshall Regal speaking for Town of Queen Creek.
Thank you, Eric and Chair and members of the committee. This is a Town of Queen Creek project, scope of which is looking at the downtown area, or version of a downtown area. It's 3 intersections. We're looking at 3 plans, Friday evening, a day plan for Saturday, and a day plan for Sunday. Our estimate aligns with the MAG estimate. Next slide. So the last time this area was timed was 6 years ago. And what we're doing now is we're using the weekday midday plans for the weekend day plans. And this has not been a good fit. There's been significant land development that has occurred since the last timing. We're getting constant complaints about lack of progression and excessive side street delays, which doesn't surprise you when you look at what has been going on out there. And we're getting a lot of phase split failures. So the timing on Ellsworth Road, which is the main corridor in this area, was set up to maximize north-south throughput. And this is before all the geometric changes were made now. Now it's 3-lane divided through the entire length of the town. So it's no surprise that the timing that was set up 6 years ago to maximize that movement is not working now. Next slide. So we looked at these 24-hour counts. This is for Friday. And you can see where our midday numbers are for, 15-minute interval are, below 150. So that timing plan then, if you look at the next slide, was applied. Next slide. Was applied on Saturday. And as you can see from the turning movement counts here, we have double the traffic in the midday on Saturday than we had on Friday. And if you look at the next slide, which is Sunday, you can see Sunday's traffic is different from Saturday. So this is why we're going for the 3 plans. And we want the Friday evening plan because we have had so many people, that's when we have a lot of business coming in Friday evening. So if we look at the next slide. So the existing infrastructure out there, we have a 50-50 mix of Econolite, ASC3, and Cobalt. 2/3 of the intersections are on fiber, and the remaining are using radio. So there's comm to all the intersections. Also, all the intersections are outfitted with pan-tilt zoom cameras. Next slide. So our expectations for the project is to improve the traveler experience on Saturday and Sunday, most specifically. Hopefully get a reduction in complaints. We'll be able to reduce side street delays. Obviously, with all that favored progression north-south, it's no longer needed to the degree it was. We should see an improvement in side street delays. We should see an improvement in progression, and our time of day plans should accommodate the traffic patterns for Friday evening and daytime plans for the uniqueness of Saturday and Sunday. Next slide. So this is just a map that shows the area. What's of note here is that everything that was east of Ellsworth was vacant land 5 years ago, and most of what was to the west of Ellsworth was vacant land as well. So there's been a huge increase in commercial development in this area. So this is one slide. The next slide will show the more southern end.
One more minute.
Next slide. Yep. So the next slide shows the more southern end of the project. Next slide. So this is a summary. It's 15 intersections. It's 3 plans, Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday. And that's where the cost comes in. And that's my presentation.
Thank you, Marshall. He's pretty much already given the summary. So yeah, 15 intersections, 3 time of day plans. Particularly it's Friday PM, all day Saturday, all day Sunday, or for those peak periods, Saturday and Sunday. Last timing was 2015. There's communication to all intersections and at a cost of $45,000 for this project. Are there any questions for Marshall? Okay, well, thank you very much, Marshall.
All right, thank you.
Next project is City of Scottsdale, and this will be presented by Hong Ho.
Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me, Eric, clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, good. Yeah, otherwise I have to turn off the video to get closer. So yeah, this project is to do Scottsdale downtown signal retiming, and there are 27 intersections proposed for this application, but actually we have more intersections included in the overall retiming project. So then the city will finish the rest of the intersection retiming to coordinate with those 3 corridors we propose in this project. So once we come to the map, I can show you the reason we propose for those 3 corridors, Scottsdale Road, Indian School, and also Hayden Road. Those roads are equally important, and the volume is about the same. So we want to start from those 3 corridors and then use that as a start point so that we can finish the rest of the area for retiming. And so we are proposing for 3 time of day plans, AM, PM, and midday. And the MAG estimate cost is $81,000. So if each spot is $1,000 per intersection per plan. The reason I think that should be lower because I verified with Eric, the MAG cost estimate doesn't differentiate if you have a synchro network or not. And for this project, actually, we're going to not only provide the synchro network for all 3 plans, and also we are not asking the consultant to recalculate the clearance time or cycle length. And so, yeah, we'll provide those parameters, and all those basic parameters provided with the synchro network. So once those information be provided, I think the work for the consultant will be really minimum. So like Jeff mentioned, most of the time probably just to identify the offset. that's why I think the cost will be lower. But let's say if the project got awarded and then the cost proposal coming back from the consultant is higher, we are willing to reduce more intersections or number of timing plans to accommodate the budget. Eric, next slide, please. So the project description is going to retime 27 traffic signals along Indian School, Scottsdale, and Hayden Road in Scottsdale downtown area. These signals, they were retimed in 2016 or earlier. And also the some locations, we don't have turning movement count. And the existing condition is we noticed the significant traffic pattern change compared to the pre-COVID-19 condition. And so the AATT is in the range of 30,000 per day along those three corridors. And we have 100% communication coverage to all the intersections. The controller in that area, actually, a majority are either Econlight ASC3 or COBOL. And we're going to provide existing synchro network with all the basic signal timing parameters. And the project expectation is to improve the coordination along those three corridors and reduce the total delay, especially on the side street. So, and as I mentioned, we will treat this project as the start point of the whole retiming project. And we're going to use those three corridors as the backbone, and so that we'll coordinate other locations along with those three corridors.
1 minute.
Okay, next slide, please. Yeah, the map shows all the locations, and you can notice actually I already removed the interchange and also the last intersection along Indian School because we're trying to fit in the budget requirement for this project. But we're going to finish those coordinations by our staff. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Hong. As a summary for the Scottsdale Downtown project, the number of intersections for this application is 27, with 3 time of day plans being the AM, midday, and PM plans. The last retimed was in 2016 or older. There's communications to all these intersections at an estimated cost of $80,000. Are there any questions for Hong?
Yeah, this is Marshall. Hong, I heard you say you're not changing your cycle lengths. So does that mean the scope of the project is just looking at splits and offsets?
Yeah, my goal is we're going to determine the cycle length by ourselves.
Okay, but still the scope of the project is offsets and splits.
Mainly, yeah, that's correct. And mainly is to collect the turning movement count so that we know how the traffic pattern change in that area.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around how you're coming up with the same cost as if you were going to create cycle lengths, which would also look at splits and offsets. So, thank you.
As I mentioned, I think because we have done a lot of this retiming project in the past, and the main effort in the signal retiming project is put together a synchro network and also calculate and verify the clearance time. And so once those are done, even to determine the cycle length is, it's not big effort. So that's why I think the cost estimate should, I talked to Eric about this already. I think probably there should be a different cost estimate depending on what information can be provided by local agency and how much effort we need from the consultant. But as I mentioned, if say the cost estimate exceed our estimate, so we are willing to remove some intersections.
Thank you, Hung. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much. The next one is City of Tempe for Southern Avenue, and Chair Lucas, I believe you will be presenting for this project.
Yes, thank you, Eric. So the City of Tempe is submitting just one project this year for this year's round of funding, and that will be along Southern Avenue. It's about 5.5 miles long. We'll be running from 48th in the west with our border with City of Phoenix to the intersection of Southern and Evergreen with our border with Mesa in the east. So there are a total of 18 intersections, if I recall correctly. Yep, 18 intersections. And this is a major east-west corridor for us. Connects several major north-south arterials, and it also includes the 101 interchange, which the city does manage. We're requesting 3 time-of-day plans, AM, midday, and PM. The last year that the signals were retimed was 2014. And this is a major east-west route for us. It's also a detour route for US 60. So given that it's been 6 years since we've recently timed it, we had some local funding that was available for local TSOPs, but given budget considerations, that has been cut. So that's why this is our one project that we're hoping to get funded this year through the MAG program. As I mentioned, there are 18 intersections. One correction to the application, which recently was made, is there are several locations that are indicated that communication is lease line, which obviously is less than preferable. All but one location at Southern and College were recently upgraded to wireless communication, which also allows us to collect ATSPM data. So we have ATSPM data as well as ARID data available throughout the entire corridor, which can be utilized. All of the intersections are currently coordinated, and all but one, as I mentioned, have fiber or wireless communication. So they have a regular time sync. All of the controllers are Conlight ASC3s, and we also have multiple CCTVs along the corridor that can be utilized for monitoring purposes. There is an existing synchro network for the area, which is in Synchro 8. And there is no road construction activity anticipated in the project. Our budget is $54,000, which is in line with the MAG estimated cost for these 18 intersections. And the current ADT is approximately 30,000. It varies a little bit depending on which specific area, but it averages about 30,000 vehicles per day. And at this point, I'll like to answer any questions you might have. And there's the map of the corridor that you can see.
Thank you, Chair Lucas. Are there any questions for him, City of Tempe? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much. Okay, so as a quick summary to this project, for Southern Avenue, there's 18 intersections with a time of day plan or requested time of day plans for AM, midday, and PM. The last signal retiming for this was in 2014. Communication is to all intersections, and as Chair Lucas said, all the intersections now, all but one, are now either wireless or on fiber. But like, I just want to make sure there's one intersection though that is on lease line, just to make sure I understood that correctly.
Correct. So it still is connected to our central system, so we still do update the time, so it will retain coordination.
Correct. All right, thank you. And this is an estimated cost at $54,000. Okay, well, thank you very much. I believe that was the last one. So that is all the project applications. Thank you very much, everybody, for providing their input on their applications, as well as any questions or commentary to the applications. It's very helpful, and all this continues to feed into our program to make it as best as we can. So there's always iterations of our program, trying to improve our program. The upcoming schedule now for this effort for the FY 2021 TSOP programming. Again, we just went over the application presentations at this committee meeting. Application revisions will be asked to be submitted by end of day of November 9th, which is this coming Monday. Scores submitted by all committee members will be no later than noon on Wednesday, November 18th, which is 2 weeks from today. We will compile all the scores, look at all the, compile all the scores and the, well, really, actually, we'll be compiling all the ranks from each of the project application sheets or the score sheets. We'll have that ready and submitted to ITS committee members for review, and we will come to the December ITS committee meeting for a recommendation of the list of projects, and that list of projects, recommended list of projects, will be taken to up the committee chain for TRC in December 10th, Management Committee on January 6th, and Regional Council Executive for final approval, the list of projects on January 18th. As soon as we receive that approval of all the projects from Regional Council Executive Committee, we can begin the scoping with the selected consultants on this for all the listed projects. The completion of all these projects will be June 30th of 2021. So the sooner that we can get that list approved, the quicker we can begin to scope out these projects and begin data collection and all the other activities that go along with these projects. So with that, if there are no other questions for the program or other applications, that concludes my update on this agenda.
Hey, Eric. Ward Stanford with Avondale. I'd like to throw in one item before we conclude.
Yes, sir.
Just piggybacking on Mike's conversation earlier is even the possibility of us 8 that are requesting funds to possibly just throw in a pot, 1,100 apiece or whatever the figure might be, if the other agencies are available or have the ability to just fund these and get them done instead of one city picking up that 8,000 slack. That's
yes,
all.
no, I think that again, appreciate the input, and I think we'll take this back and hear if there's any revisions to also those applications as well. But I just want to make sure that we are capable of doing that in terms of inputting additional funding from an outside source, say for our fiscal services. So we'll take that conversation after this committee meeting. But thank you very much. That concludes my report on this.
Excellent. Thank you, Eric. Are there any additional comments from the committee members? And again, just a reminder that the app revisions are due on the 9th, and then updated revisions will be sent out on the 10th if there are any. And please make sure you get your scores in by the 18th so that we can keep the process moving along. With that, we'll move on to item 7 on the agenda, which is a request for future agenda items. There was one that was proposed last month, an update on the ADOT INRIX program. And just want to let you know that has not fallen by the wayside. That is planned for a future agenda, hopefully next month. In light of what we had to cover this month, it was necessary to move that to a future agenda. So if anybody has any topics or issues, feel free to bring them up now, or you can email myself or MAG staff and provide those. With that, in the interest of time, let's move on to item 8, comments from the ITS committee members. So I will be polling each of you in turn. If you have any updates or information you would like to share with the committee, this is your opportunity to go ahead and do so. And I would like to begin with Susan Anderson.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I have no update today other than I believe we're preparing a presentation for next month to discuss more on the INRIX data and give everyone an update. So looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan. Hugh?
Nothing from Goodyear at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. Tricia, anything from Mesa?
Nothing today.
Thank you. Hannah, anything from Valley Metro?
Hi, no updates from Valley Metro today.
Thank you. Alan?
No updates from Glendale.
All right. Albert?
No updates for Surprise.
Srini?
For City of Chandler, we have been we have activated the adaptive system from no traffic. That's part of the MAG's emerging pilot technologies. Emerging technologies pilot program. So the system has gone live last week. We have been giving feedback to the vendor on the performance, and University of Arizona is going to start an independent evaluation starting next week. So we are hoping we'll get some results from that.
Excellent. Thank you. Hong?
No update. Thank you.
Bruce, anything from Phoenix?
No update from Phoenix.
Thank you. Ying-Yang?
Nothing to report.
All right. Scott?
No updates for Pinal County.
Eduardo, anything from the City of Maricopa?
No update from us.
Thank you. Marshall?
No real updates, just our land development hasn't slowed down one bit, so that's a bit of good news. So we seem to be doing okay with that revenue stream. Putting in lots of roads down there.
That's good news. Rochelle, anything from AJ?
No updates.
All right. Ward?
Nothing special here.
Mr. Sutton?
No, just that I'm hungry. That's it.
April?
Just a quick update for the 2 adaptive projects that were awarded through MEG's SMO program on Olive Avenue Dunlop and Bell Road Phase 2. We are in the selection process, so that's moving forward and looking good. So there'll probably be more to come on that.
Excellent. Let's see. Tessa, are you still on? Yes, I see you there.
No update from the City of El Mirage.
All right. Tony, any additional updates for FHWA?
Nothing from Federal Highway.
Thank you. John?
Since I finally got on, I think about 30 minutes. So sorry, Mike. So let me get going. No, I have no updates.
Well, sorry, Mike, but City of Tempe, I do have a couple of brief updates. Our ITS Safety and Performance Upgrades Phase 2 project just recently kicked off. CS Construction will be the contractor, and that will be installing about 50 wireless radios, 25 CCTVs, and a host of other switches and devices throughout the city, putting the end to our lease line infrastructure. So we'll finally have about half the city on fiber and half on wireless. So it's been a goal long time coming. The middle of this month, we will be installing the rest of the wayside equipment for our M-Track system in support of our Tempe streetcar. And as part of a recent pavement and concrete project that we had at Fire Station 3, we're actually doing a temporary signal setup that's something a little different than what we've done in the past, where we're actually linking up via radio a temporary signal at the south entrance to the station with the existing fire station signal to the north, and being able to provide preemption at both entrances. So that was something that we hadn't done before, something I just wanted to mention. Street Smart is the company that we're using that's providing that capability. And if anyone's interested, you can reach out to me for more details. With that, that wraps up our updates. I believe I called on everyone. The next meeting of the MAG ITS committee will be held at 10 o'clock on Wednesday, December 2nd. Again, virtually, unless otherwise notified. And with that, thank you everyone for your extra time and attention today. And the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.